San Antonio City Manager Cheryl Sculley prepares a $2.8 billion flat tax rate budget. A month after a developer bulldozed a potential habitat for endangered species, Alamo City creates a special task force.
The trees are gone, so the residents who live nearby are pretty frustrated that the city didn't take action before.
And as their careers take off, San Antonio Air Force women attempt to balance work and family.
Do whatever you want to me, but don't mess with my kids. That's when it's tough, is when, the military is doing things and telling you to go places and do things that impacts your kids.
I'm Chance Storlin with your Express Briefing for Thursday, August 9th. Subscribe to this and other free content at expressnews.com/podcasts. And get each day's top news and sports headlines delivered to your inbox at expressnews.com/newsletters. Today, City Manager Cheryl Sculley will present the City Council with a $2.8 billion budget that lays out spending on items residents both want and need, like better streets and sidewalks and public safety, while keeping the local tax rate flat. The proposed fiscal year 2019 budget would also increase spending on affordable housing by 230% to $25.1 million for several programs that aim to address a looming housing crisis. San Antonians would also see the continuation of budgeting through the so-called equity lens, a process that aims to right decades of neglect in several parts of the city, largely manifested in targeted street maintenance spending, but also seen in areas like animal care services for neighborhoods afflicted the most by packs of roaming animals. Spending on street maintenance is expected to increase to $110 million in the coming fiscal year, with a significant portion going to 5 of the 10 council districts that have, on average, the worst streets in the city. With the emergence of affordable housing as one of San Antonio's highest priorities, Sculley's proposed budget would add $17.5 million in new spending to pay for recommendations made by Mayor Ron Nierenberg's Housing Policy Task Force. The $2.8 billion spending plan represents an increase of 5.8% over the current fiscal year and would be the largest in city history. Find more details on the plan for the 2019 fiscal year budget at expressnews.com. More than a month after the bulldozing of up to 38 acres of trees that may have destroyed the habitat of 2 endangered species, San Antonio council members have approved the creation of a task force to fix what they say are shortcomings in the city's permitting process for real estate projects in environmentally sensitive areas, with city officials noting they want a clearer habitat form that will prevent future confusion. San Antonio's current habitat compliance paperwork doesn't require landowners to include a copy of the actual biological studies they're citing when they claim no endangered species will be harmed. Here's San Antonio Express News investigative reporter John Tedesco.
This happened on the northwest side of San Antonio, kind of by Fiesta, Texas. It's a project of luxury apartments called the Mansions at La Cantera. Basically, we got an email from a concerned neighbor. She was worried about whether the developer was doing everything he was supposed to do. I basically started asking questions and looking at a lot of the city permits on this, and the species out there are the golden-cheeked warbler songbird and karst invertebrates, which are bugs that hang out in caves and sinkholes. Long story short, he filled out this sworn affidavit saying that those 2 species would not be harmed by his project, but he was relying on a 5-year-old study that only looked at warblers. It did not look at karst invertebrates. And when we found that out, we asked the city, do you think the developer was upfront with you? And the city said, we see a problem here, and they halted the project.
Grand Prairie, a development firm headed by Matt Hiles, is currently under criminal investigation by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Hear more details on the latest episode of the In-Depth Podcast, available for free download at expressnews.com/podcasts. And a new study shines light on common problems that prevent more women from reaching the highest ranks in the U.S. Air Force. Here's San Antonio Express News senior reporter Sig Christensen.
The RAND folks up in Washington did a study for the Air Force. They were looking at the fact that a lot of female officers leave the ranks when they're captains or majors, and there aren't very many women in the ranks at 06, which is the designation for colonel, 07, the designation for brigadier general, and that has created some concern. And so we recently talked to 3 female pilots who are in the Air Force, and they're going to try to stay for at least 20 years. That will be a bit on the unusual side. A lot of women won't stay that long. And they're basically using the RAND report as a springboard for instituting a number of changes that'll help. So Lieutenant Colonel Allison Patrick does a great job of laying into some of the big issues.
Childcare issues I have definitely dealt with multiple times over the course of my career, especially with PCSs, trying to find quality childcare, sometimes not knowing anything about the area and, without CDC availability, sometimes just almost just pick something so I could start working right away, essentially, because it's not like I can just wait around for a couple months till I find the, childcare that I want to start working. I'm expected to be ready to go, essentially day one. So sometimes that put my children in less than optimal situations, which was pretty tough as a mom to see, because a couple of them were, I would say, particularly bad. But a lot of times moves generated a lot of those issues. And then moving to a foreign country and then having absolutely no idea who was going to watch our son was really stressful. And then even then, the CDC hours didn't reflect reality as far as our schedules. And so that definitely caused some headaches and a lot of consternation along the way.
Hear more of my conversation with Express News senior reporter Sig Christensen on the Military City podcast, available in Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And that's your daily San Antonio Express News briefing for Thursday, August 9th. Subscribe to this and other free content at expressnews.com/podcasts. I'm Chance Dorland.